Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield, and joining me today, I have friends in from the Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans. I want to welcome to the program Rachel Erickson, who is the Director of Clinical Services. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Terry.
Also joining us today, my friend Jane Levine. Jane is the Lifeline Marketing Representative, and you do so much more. Hi, Jane. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you, Terry.
It's good to see you. And Fran Deinhardt is here. Fran is the Homemaker Coordinator and a social worker involved with Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans. Hi, Fran.
Hi.
For those of you who are listening in today, Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans, or JFS, is a social service agency. It's dedicated to preserving, strengthening, and enhancing the well-being and self-sufficiency of individuals and families at every stage of life. And that almost mirrors the United Way mission, because we're also all about making sure that people can remain independent and self-sufficient. And together, we do work as community impact partners. Now, JFS was established over 60 years ago. As we mentioned, since they serve families at every stage, you're a whole person environment. And I want to talk about all the programs that you've got going on. But Jane, I think I'm going to put you a little bit on the hot seat first, because we also know that in September, in fact, 22nd, is the first day of fall, and it marks the 6th annual National Falls Prevention Awareness Day. And this is very much where Lifeline comes up. This is such an invaluable service that you have going on for a number of years now. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, absolutely. Lifeline is it's a tool. And people who realize that they want to stay in their homes, and that's really our trend in our society, is to be able to, what they say, call aging in place. And Lifeline is a way for someone to be able to remain in their home and to remain safe. And with the national spotlight on safety, and basically it's more about healthy aging. Lifeline, again, is a preventative tool. It allows us to get assistance if we need it. We know statistically that if we are able to get help earlier if we're in need, our outcomes are always much better.
Well, I was going to say, you've been on the program before, and I can't tell you how many times people have called us or you afterwards, because this truly is a lifeline. I have friends, as do you, who after finding out about the program, their parents or grandparents, they have signed them up. In one case, a friend who has a husband with a disability, and it's truly amazing, and we've been fortunate enough to meet some of your clients too. They've told me in the past that it just makes them feel safer and secure, and they feel better about doing some of the routine things, about going outside and getting the mail, and even just going out in the backyard just to sit for a while. But when you're older and may have illness or challenges in maneuverability, shall we say, it really, if you fall, there could be some serious consequences.
Absolutely, and we don't really like to talk about falls in our society. We'll say we've tripped rather than fall. We're always thinking that if we share that information with someone, that they're going to basically take away our independence. And we look at Lifeline as a way to remain independent. It's interesting because we do go out into the community and we install Lifeline, and the family members have such greater feeling of knowing that their loved one is going to be okay because they'll be able to get help. So it really does meet a lot of needs of the family. And we're also, as our society changes and we're an aging population and we have the baby boomers getting older, yes,
I'm
yes,
pointing to myself.
And me as well. I find that a lot of people in my age group are also seeing the advantage of being able to get assistance. It's not just for someone who is a senior or someone who's not well. It can really be for anyone who just wants to be able to get help if they were unable to get to a telephone if they were to need assistance. And the thing about Lifeline, too, is that it can be used for whatever your needs are. It's not just for medical emergencies. It can be used for basically anything in your home that you need assistance with, whether it be fire, if you think you need a police person to come, if you just need us to reach out to someone for you. So it's not just about being older, and it's not just about someone with health issues. It can really be for anybody.
Adaptable.
It's very adaptable, and it's changing. Our technologies are getting ready to change. We're really making, Philips Lifeline is making every effort to meet the needs of our aging population. So we do have some new exciting technology that's going to be launched in the near future. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
I was going to say, you can give us a hint, just a hint, or can we go on into it?
I can start talking about it. We don't have it in hand yet, but we were told at the end of September the first new piece of technology is coming out, and it's called Home Safe. And basically, it's going to be able to work with a cell phone technology. Up to this date, Lifeline has had to work with a landline, and that's getting ready to change because a lot of people have let go of their landline. So this technology will allow people, again, who no longer have a landline to be able to get Lifeline. So we're really excited about this. I just keep on thinking I'm going to keep my landline forever, though, because I've learned so much about what technologies are going to come down as we all age that will work through the landline. But we have to answer the needs of our current society, and that's definitely a landline-less culture. So we're excited about that.
Well, I do want to come back for just one more question, then we can't let Fran and Rachel just sit. So we'll come back and talk about this. But quickly, those who are listening are thinking, oh my gosh, is this something I can afford? It sounds like a necessity, but maybe at the same time a luxury.
Well, I guess the way I look at Lifeline, and I do install, and so I'm in the community, and unfortunately I'm meeting too many people who have gotten the service after they've needed it. And I guess for me, I've learned in my life that financially, you can't put a price tag on being able to stay safe in your home. I know that we all want to remain in our homes as long as we can, and I've learned through my work that you have to be able to remain safe. So currently, we also have the auto alert technology. Philips Lifeline is the only personal emergency response system that has auto alert, and that's the fall detection technology, and that it truly saves lives beyond just our regular service.
All right, I was going to say I was going to come back first, but now you've left it open for it is, Jane. We've got to continue this for a moment because that is such an important technology there for that fall, because I'm just looking at some of the information about, all right, this month's or this year's theme, preventing falls one step at a time. They're talking about how many people do fall per year. And as you said, people don't always want to admit that they do, that somehow that is an instability, that they're no longer self-sufficient. But hey, if you're a klutz like I am, falling is not anything new or different. No. And you could really injure yourself without meaning to.
It can change your life.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the bigger issue is that, again, if you are able to get help quickly, it changes the outcome tremendously. And that's the key. We know we can reduce falls by communicating about them by 30% in the community just by talking about falls. But if you do fall and you're unable to get help, the complications from being not able to get help really can be very complex. A fall can change everything. So our goal is, again, if you are wearing Lifeline, you can get assistance, you can get help. It changes the outcome.
Well, we're going to come back and we will talk more about it. But I wanted to ask, or talk a little bit more also about, this is very interesting, some things that you've got coming up here. And it's the Parents of Troubled Adults Support Group. And this is, and Fran, maybe you can fill us in because you have so many different programs, but this is a series that's going to begin in October. And it says adult children who are suffering from depression, mental illness, and so much more. Can you please tell us about how this program came to be and what you're doing to help the folks who may need this? It's just support or offering some insight and help that way too?
Well, the Parents of Troubled Adults Support Group has been meeting for several years. It started out just as a therapeutic group, people offering their own experiences dealing with this particular issue, and it's evolved due to participants changing the direction of the group, and it's become more of a psychoeducational group. We have some really amazing speakers who are very knowledgeable in their fields, who are able to speak about resources, about setting boundaries, about managing a crisis.
And that's important because if you unfortunately have someone who is suffering from depression or any type of mental illness, perhaps, or alcohol or drug abuse, it's not just their problem. It's the family's problem. It becomes sometimes the workplace problem. This is everybody. I don't know if I want to invoke it takes a village, but people are aware. And it can't all be done overnight, and it can't be done by just one person. So I imagine this is where this kind of group is truly important.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have Cecile Thibault, who is doing our next presentation, and she is absolutely fabulous. She has a lot of experience in the community, working with the NOPD, working with the NAMI, working with Exodus House, and she will be speaking on October 10th about assessing and managing a crisis.
And as you said, that can come in so many different forms. When you have groups like this, is it a cross-section? Do you indeed get the whole family and people from all over, or is it often reserved just for the parents?
This is a group that is just for parents and some grandparents because they face unique challenges by being the primary caregiver for their adult child. So we want to maintain the therapeutic support role, having them really have their peer group.
Now, this almost begs the question, because this was another service that you provide, but does it work hand in glove? Because sometimes parents who are giving that much support need help themselves, or the grandparents, and they need a relief or a respite.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. We find that there's a lot of needs out there that Jewish Family Service really is trying to meet. And it's a great group, and I'm sure that we could probably grow it. I would imagine there's a lot of people out there who, are dealing with their children who have issues, and they themselves are becoming seniors. So there's a lot of complex families out there.
Because I know that you have counseling programs, you have so many things, and I think it goes back to, again, part of your mission statement when you talk about that you're really preserving, you're strengthening the family, and you look at the whole person environment. So we all know that a support group is wonderful, but my goodness, again, along with having the different groups that you have, the counseling services, and these things can be really important. And that makes me think a little bit about Teen Life Counts, too, because that is one of the best known of your programs as well, knowing that depression can hit at a very early age, and that sometimes can also lead to suicide and very young folks.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, I tell you what, tell me again, Fran, if you will, in terms of just the number of people or the groups that are coming up. You talked about Cecile Thibault, and we all know of her and her opportunities and the things that she has done. But you have something else. I mean, again, this is going to be a lengthy series of group meetings, and you have something again that'll be in November and then in through next year that's already scheduled.
Yes. Our next, after the October 10th, our next presentation is going to be November 14th, and we have Chris Bowling from Magellan in Louisiana, and he will be speaking about the permanent supportive housing and the Louisiana Behavioral Health Partnership, and kind of giving some information about how to navigate the system. This is a recent development in the way that housing support services are run in Louisiana.
Can you stop for just a moment and explain that? Because listeners right now are saying, I think I've heard that term before, but what does it mean exactly?
Well, permanent supportive housing is case management and housing support. So that's independent housing. People get rental subsidies for people with disabilities living in the community.
And then case management, again, it's a term we often use, but if you're not familiar and use it on an everyday basis, can you tell the listeners what that is too? Because that's, again, part of that pie that we need to all be part of.
Well, case management in this situation would be someone that would help the individual with the disability to apply for assistance, kind of determine what benefits they need, set up goal planning, and put them on the road to being independent.
And again, so that he or she then is helping this individual, making sure that all assets that are out there that they can use are available, and they can connect them with other social service agencies and perhaps federal or local programs that are at work as well.
Exactly.
And that makes perfect sense. Well, you've also got something else coming up and for the troubled adults, and I think that's part of it. You're talking about some of the other services that are available.
Yes, I want to also talk about the Homemaker program, which is a Jewish Family Services program which helps older adults stay independent in their home with light housekeeping and transportation services.
Now, that has been a real help. I, again, know of several people that have availed themselves of that service because of that whole independence and being self-sufficient or self-reliant. You want to stay home. It goes back to what you were saying, Jane, about wanting to age in place. It's not only, it's more comfortable for the individual as long as he or she can maintain that, but also it's more cost effective to the family, to the taxpayers, to society in general. We all benefit when we can take care of ourselves and each other. So to have that ability for someone to come in and provide some of these services, that is a great boon.
Yes, there's a lot of people who just need a little bit of help, someone to come and, take them to the grocery store once a week. And we're able to help those people who otherwise would not be able to live on their own.
And it is, and something as simple as that, we sometimes just take for granted, but get to a certain age that maybe you don't want to drive or shouldn't drive, or maybe you live in an area where transportation is not the easiest to come by, or the grocery store is not as near as you'd like, or the doctor's office. This kind of thing is just imperative. Well, let's move on a little bit too. We're going to come back, okay? And we'll talk some more about the homemaker piece. That's always been so important. But Rachel. And Rachel, I would be remiss because earlier I have to say congratulations, but I said Rachel Erickson, but please say your whole name for us.
Rachel Lazarus Erickson.
Lazarus Erickson. Okay, we wanted to make sure we got that in so everybody knew she hasn't changed. It's the same person. She's a newlywed. So congratulations again. And Rachel, you've got a busy job over at Jewish Family Service too with all that you have going on. Let's tell the listeners today about some of the things that they know that you can help them with.
Sure. Well, I'll start by introducing Michael Steiner as our new executive director, and this is a big change for the agency as Michael's background is in business and finance. We've always had a director who's a social worker. So with bringing in Michael, I was promoted to the director of clinical services. So I'm overseeing the clinical staff and the case management programs, and he's overseeing all of the administrative and financial programs and business side of the agency. And so with that, I should mention that Deena Gerber recently retired.
And we have to give a shout out to
Yes.
Deena. What, I think 20 years or more, right?
Yes, she was
Hello,
with
Deena.
the agency. She was with the agency 34 years.
Oh, my
she was director
goodness.
19 years. And we are having a big fundraiser for her September 29th. It's at the Audubon Tea Room, and it's a rhythm and soul jazz brunch to honor her and to do some fundraising for the agency.
And
so we're
that's
real
great.
excited about that.
That's great. We wish Deena well because she's done such a great service.
Absolutely.
But when you're talking about the role of Michael coming in, that's a bit like our role of Michael Williamson at United Way. We're seeing a shift, I think, a cultural shift to sometimes be more like a business to the extent that we are a business
Yes.
and what we have to do and provide for the community. But I think it's important that people understand that we do the best. We do good work, but first and foremost, we are also an investment in the community, and our investment comes from you, the donor, and we do our very best to be good stewards of the donor dollar, to make sure it is stretched and leveraged every way possible so that the clients out there can get the services that they so desperately need.
Absolutely. And you've mentioned some of them. I also wanted to mention that our counseling program is sliding scale fee so that we can reach some of those individuals who are in need in our community. The fees range from $30 to $100.
And stop for just a moment because tell them about the variety. We've heard about the support groups that Fran was telling us about, but some of the other counseling services, is it one-on-one? Is it family? Is it peer-to-peer? What kinds of counseling?
We do individual, family, and couples counseling. And pretty much anywhere on the spectrum. We deal with anxiety, depression, couples, parenting, all kinds of different things. And we really try to meet the client where they are and help them as we can. And then we also have case management piece that we provide in our office, which Fran talked about a little bit, but more of the logistics of getting on Social Security or Medicaid or Medicare or changing our housing situation, some of the more logistical things that come up, especially as people age.
Oh, see, that could be complex, especially with the changes that are coming in the healthcare system, and as laws change. And my husband's an attorney, but I see his eyes glaze over when he sees all the new information that's out there.
And then you're also dealing with the family dynamic.
That's true.
So that's where we come into play in a big way, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, go back for just a moment, if you will, though, Rachel, and talk about that sliding scale, because I think we all know as social service agencies, again, it comes down to the donor, and with the sliding scale, part of that is because we are able to have funders who are so good to us, who will help us in being able to provide those kinds of services. In our case, we are a funder to someone else, to you, that may help you provide these types of service. But we, in turn, often get funding help from some of the big corporations. And it is a very kind of interesting circle that goes around. Again, I always think of everybody joining hands in a big circle to make this community continue to revolve in the right way.
It does take a village.
It does take a village. I think you're right. I think
Absolutely.
it does.
Absolutely. We depend greatly on our individual funders, our grants.
United Way.
Big time United Way, as well as some others that allow us to be able to provide these services to the community. The sliding scale is based on the household income, so we really try to assist those clients that really are in need.
Now, one thing we often ask, because when people hear a religious, it in the name, they hear Jewish Family Service, can I only have to be Jewish, or I can't get help if I'm not Jewish? Please lay to rest those myths.
Sure. The majority of our programs are available to anyone in the community. We have a few that are specific, as the funder actually specified that the money is given were only for Jewish individuals. But like I said, it's maybe 2 programs at this point. Most of them are open to anyone in the community, and we really welcome everyone.
I would say, and I've always found that interesting because of the Jewish culture. There's a phrase I can never say, but it's about giving back. And
Tikkun olam?
Thank you. Say it one more time.
Tikkun olam.
Yes, and it's just lovely, the whole idea behind that in the reference. And I think that Jewish Family Service is one of those agencies that has always been practicing. Say it one more time.
Tikkun olam.
Thank you. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask about, too, is, and because of it's making a friend for life. Jane, you've got to fill me. Fran is back.
Fran's
Okay,
our friend for life.
Because Fran. All right, Fran, be my friend. But this is because, please, when I can't pronounce something, I always ask for help. But I even tried. Is it Bikur Shavarim?
Bikur Haverim.
Oh, well, see, there you
You
go.
were good, though.
I was giving it my best shot. Come on, friend, explain about friendly visiting. And it sounds a little bit like some of the other things, how they all get and tie together.
Bikur Haverim, it's Hebrew for friendly visiting, and it's arranging visits for homebound or partially homebound seniors with a focus on creating lasting relationships based on shared interests. So visitor volunteers are paired with new friends, and they have conversations about their life experiences.
Well, this is kind of cool. It sounds like maybe for those who can't get to, say, a center where they could all congregate, you don't want to have that isolation.
Exactly.
Again, the stimulus that's needed to continue and thrive, even in your senior and much later years, to have a friend come in and be able to talk and engage in conversation. And who knows, I guess it's really limitless. You could read together, you could paint, you could put together a puzzle, cook.
Yep,
Who
absolutely.
knows?
And talk about all the things that are interesting to you. And isolation is a very large problem for a lot of people. And there's really no reason. There's a lot good to be had by being one of the volunteers, because you learn and you grow and you understand more about life when you're with other people that maybe you step outside your own circle, or just to kind of reach out to different people. It's a great program.
And I think that's something that's very important because most social service agencies depend on volunteers.
Absolutely.
And kind of the backbone of everything that we do.
We have great volunteers. We have Jewish Family Service has the best volunteers in the city, and they really do help make a difference.
All right, I'm going to fight you. United Way's got some pretty good, I think actually they overlap.
They probably do. It seems like a lot of our volunteers volunteer for lots of different agencies, which is fabulous. Then you make your life about volunteering. When I retire, I'm going to volunteer.
I think that's what we all want to do.
Absolutely.
But how do you become a volunteer? And if you're listening right now and say, well, maybe I have some extra time on my hands, or I would like to get involved, or I want to be someone's friend, how do you go about doing that?
Well, I can give you our website, which is jfsneworleans.org. And that's a great place to start. In particular, for the Bikur Haverim program, if you're interested in making a new friend, you can contact Fran Deinhardt at 504-831-8475, extension 134.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to repeat that because it's somewhere. Someone's running right now for a pen and paper. So, Fran, if you'll give us that information one more time.
The website is jfsneworleans.org. And the phone number is 504-831-8475.
Now, are there any restrictions in terms of age or gender or who can apply to be a friend?
Absolutely not. The only requirement is that you have an open heart, a positive attitude, and the main thing is being able to transport yourself to visit your new friend.
And that is, again, because we're trying to help someone else who can't, do it on their own. And Rachel, I've got to switch this back to you for just a second because we started to touch upon, literally, look at the paper I'm shuffling around here as we're talking because of all these incredible services that you provide. We've talked a little bit about counseling. We're coming back, Jane, to Lifeline. The Homemaker program, again, which is just something that's so amazing. The case management. Teen Life Counts is always, again, it's something that's so important. But it just goes on and on. You've had the adoption homes. Anything else, one message we want to get out there to the community about some of the other programs or upcoming events. Other than that, we know that we're honoring Deena on the 29th of September.
We have groups that come and go. So we do have some adolescent girls groups in the works called Girl Power. We're talking about potential for some adolescent boys groups. So certainly if anyone is interested, they should definitely call us. Our groups are typically 5 to 8 individuals, and these particular groups really work on social skills in that age group. So that's something that'll come up in the fall, and look for logistics more on that on our website. And then, as Fran mentioned, we're always looking for volunteers for the Bikur Haverim program. We're also always looking for volunteers for Lifeline, for Teen Life Counts, which is our suicide prevention in the schools. So really, depending on what your interests are and what your strengths are, we have a lot of different options for volunteers.
And again, we need you, we need you, we need you. Well, ladies, we are just about out of time. Believe it or not, Jane, I would like you to take us out because let's go back again, everyone. This is September. It is the National Falls Prevention Awareness Day coming up. And this year's theme is Preventing Falls One Step at a Time. And this is where Lifeline, in particular, through Jewish Family Service, can really be a help.
Absolutely. And if you are interested in knowing more about Lifeline and what we're doing, please feel free to call us. Again, the number is 831-8475, extension 126. Also just wanted to put out there that if anyone's interested in having us come and speak to any of their senior groups on fall prevention and healthy aging, we really would like to take an opportunity to communicate about fall prevention because we do know that it can make a big difference.
And there are some simple things you can even do at home. Rearranging furniture,
Absolutely.
where you locate
it's
everyday
the simplistic
items.
things that can make a big difference. Lifeline is a month-to-month rental program. There's no long-term commitment. One of the things I always want people to remember is that our button is 100% waterproof. I know it seems silly, but it's really important that you wear a button in a shower and in the tub because the bathroom is a slippery place for all of us, not just for seniors. And it's a great way, again, to remain in your home and just stay safe. safe. And I do know that sometimes we get resistance when they first put that button on, but then the minute they've had it on for a minute and they feel how lightweight it is and they know that anywhere they go in their home, all they need to do is push a button to get help. There's a great peace of mind that goes with that.
And again, I've had some dear friends who've had their parents or grandparents utilize that.
And I get to meet all of them.
You do, you have. And one friend in particular, his grandmother would wear it all the time, and she said it was her favorite piece of jewelry.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Yes, it is indeed. Thank you so much, Jerry.
you
We
so
appreciate
much.
it.
You ladies are the best. I want to thank you so much for attending today. And Rachel, I want to be sure I get it right this time. Rachel Lazarus Erickson, Director of Clinical Services at Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans. Jane Levine, who is the Lifeline Marketing Representative. And Fran Deinhardt, who is the Homemaker Coordinator and a social worker with Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans. And for United Way, I'm Terry Westerfield. United Way is doing all it can to regain or have people remain independent and self-sufficient. If you'd like to know more about us, please visit unitedwaysela.org. Live united.